Well, greetings, aloha. What's going on? It's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com. Where have I been? YouTube channel. I'm here in, well, I'm away from Pattaya. I'm actually not going to tell you guys where I am, and I know that sounds kind of silly and clickbaity, but if you subscribe to my dropshipping class, no. So I woke up several days ago in high season in Jomtien, and it's busy, and there's a lot of people that are very grateful for that. This only child, on the other hand, I'm lamenting about COVID times and how it was empty in so many places, not the least of which is, as you guys know, I would refer to it as Only Child Beach. And so I was looking for Only Child Beach because even like where I used to live in Southern California, in Coronado, I remember like Labor Day, right? So like basically like, you know, the last sort of holiday of the summer kind of thing, before the kids go back to school, before people get, you know, real jobs. And I would go to this one beach south of Coronado, almost all the way down to Imperial Beach, almost to the border of Mexico. And at that location, even during like the busiest kind of weekend of the year sort of thing, because San Diego's very touristy, as you know, I would be able to find Only Child Beach, and I would be able to walk for like sometimes an hour and not even interface with anybody. And so I'm like, okay, there's got to be a place like that. The other thing that I was speaking with my buddies about recently, Logan, Mark, thank you guys, was what it used to be like in Thailand. Because a lot of these guys that I'm like interfacing with lately have been here 10, 15, 20 years, back and forth, maybe not living here permanently, but they experienced Thailand in the early 2000s, right? So the discussion has been, so like, where is the next Thailand? And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like, where can I go where, so for example, yesterday during breakfast, we're talking about this friend who used to go to, I'm trying to remember the name of the place. I want to say Koh Tao. And I think he went there like 20 years ago, and he stayed at a bungalow, you know, no air conditioning, bamboo, that sort of thing. But he stayed at this place, and he said it was 50 baht a night. And I'm thinking, oh my God, right? Super rustic. But it's like, there's gotta be places like that somewhere in the world. And I was reflecting back on how, when I was like, God, when was it? It was before 1990. And the reason I say that is because in 1989, I moved from Boston to San Diego. So there's kind of like that time in my life where it's like, did stuff before this, did stuff after it. And what I did before that is I went down to the Florida Keys several times. And that was my experience in when living in Boston, where you grow up and there's 4 seasons, 3 of which are lousy. And one of them is summer, and gratefully summer coincides with the time that you're off school, so you can actually go enjoy it. And it doesn't get dark until like 9 p.m. and there's just so many amazing things about living in New England during the summer. But in the winter, it's brutal. And a friend of mine was like, hey dude, let's drive down to the Florida Keys. He had like heard of windsurfing, and he knew of windsurfing down there, so I'm like, great. So we get in the truck, we drive 27 hours from the Boston area all the way down basically to what's called Bahia Honda Key, which is a national park in the Florida Keys, and it was amazing. It was pristine. It was like $30 a night to camp, which at the time wasn't free, but you know, it was like nothing. And we would camp for like a week or two, and I was like, oh my God, 80, 85 degrees, humid, sunny, awesome. It rains, and you just like sit outside because it's still 85, 90 degrees. You're loving, I was loving the rain. And so again, you know, reflecting back on, you know, very positive moments in my life, right? And I'm sure all of us do that. I do that, let's say that. And I was doing that. So I got this other friend that I've been grateful to know. He basically came with the radio station that bought. He's the engineer, and he told me, he goes, oh bro, you gotta check out this beach away from Pattaya. I'm not even gonna tell you where it is. It could be north, it could be south. Sends me the link, and he gives me the whole, yeah, but don't tell anyone about it because I don't want people to know about it. And in the past, I would be like, oh yeah, whatever, you're just saying that. But now that YouTube is so, and I'm not saying like a lot of people watch my channel, but it's one of those deals where it's like, I'm just gonna do my part to basically keep it quiet. And if you physically show up here and we're hanging out and we've known each other for 6 months, maybe a year, well then I will share with you the beach as well, just as he did with me. But again, he didn't do it on the first day we met. It wasn't our first date conversation, right? So anyway, so I'm heading there now. And I stopped along this, it said rest stop, right? And the signs like for the rest stop in English and in Thai, very new, very clean, bright yellow, you know, 300 meters, 100 meters, 50 meters. And I pull over and then there's this place. And oh my God, they had a free car for me that actually had my radio station QR code on it. How convenient, right? Anyway, this is the mighty Mazda 2. I believe 2 stands for the number of cylinders that it has. So anyway, that's my fun little car, my rental. That's another thing, man. When I first started coming here, I was like, I'm so glad I don't have to have a car. And I don't have to have a car. I choose to have a car. I choose to rent because then that way I can get rid of it when I want to. And as you guys know, it's infinitely easier to buy a car than it is to sell a car, especially now with an app, and they'll drop it off at your house. So I stopped at this rest stop, and it's like, it's kind of funky, right? So I figured, all right, you know what? I'm gonna throw the camera on, and this actually may be a video that begins a live stream. So I'm not quite sure. So after you're watching this video, you may be in for a live stream from Only Child Beach, which is up in, or it's down in, or it's around the, but I'm not gonna tell you. And I'm just kind of goofing around with that. But seriously, I'm really looking forward to this. And therefore I'm having an expectation. And I thought of a new word as I was driving here, EXPATations. Because I tend to think that people are good. My default setting when I meet someone is to basically say, okay, well, I trust them until they give me a reason to not trust them. I prefer to live that way. I believe it makes me happier. The downside to that is that I think there are greater than 51% of the people that I meet that have the desire to deceive me. And I'm not saying that they want to like swindle me out of money or whatever, but they always want to tell me, you know, they sort of start off, I've heard it called peacocking, and they want to tell me all of the great things that they've done, you know, in like the first day. You know, I know the other thing is name dropping, but there's a couple of indicators lately that have really made me raise an eyebrow and say, this person cannot be part of my cool kids table. Let's just say that. And you know how like trust, you build trust? One of the sort of real eye-openers lately has been people that I don't know very long, and they use several times the phrase, you just have to trust me. And I don't necessarily say that they say that to me directly, but they say it about scenarios. So they will be like, oh, well, I helped this other guy and I was wildly successful and stuff, but he didn't do it my way and therefore he failed. And I just kept telling him, I was like, look, dude, we got to do this. You just got to trust me blindly. So that's a learning moment that I've had lately. But again, to my expatations, right? As an expat over here, I have these expectations that I think some of them are quite realistic. I mean, some of them are as silly as, I expect that when I go to the store and I buy an apple, that it's going to taste a certain way, and there's not going to be concrete inside of it. There's not going to be foam, right? And so, I mean, those are like, that's kind of a silly example. I expect that when I put gas in my car and then I push that button on the dash, that after I give the guy 1,000 baht for the fuel that I've purchased, I'm gonna be able to drive a certain amount of time, and I have been, based on, you know, the experiences that I've had before. But yet I throw these expatations up there, and in my experience, at least 51% of the expats I interface with let me down. Some intentionally, actually, because they're trying to deceive me, and then my spidey sense goes up and I'm like, wait a minute, you're full of crap. And this happened to me in Mexico. So again, the good news there is that I've had one of these expat experiences before in my life, and I remember it, and I'm able to apply the learnings from that today. But as I hope you're also doing, I'm always learning. I learned this one phrase in grad school. It's credited to Michelangelo, and the phrase is ancora imparo. And the definition that was given to me, the lecture that was given to me, the data that was passed along to me was that means, yet I am always learning. I believe that's a rough translation. So anyway, so that's what I believe it stands for. It stands for always learning. And so ancora imparo, my friends. I am trying to do that as much as I can. So anyway, so I just thought I'd walk around this goofy little rest stop and share a little bit about that, because of course I didn't push the button saying, oh great, now there's the teleprompter, I'll read. You guys know how I am. I can talk for 35 minutes about something or nothing, and usually it's a combination of both. But if you're heading out of Pattaya, possibly north, possibly south, you're gonna come along this rest area and it's gonna be like kind of cool, and it's gonna be completely empty. Now there's a sign in front that says that basically between 4:30 p.m. and 6 a.m. it's closed. Okay. Well, right now it's probably about 7:30, and I'm about an hour away from Pattaya already, and Google tells me that based on it being 7:30, I believe that the map said I'll be where I'm going at 7:56, and it's a beach, and we're gonna get there together. But we're not gonna go there together. Do you know what I mean? In other words, we're not gonna travel there, and I'm not gonna let you know how to get there until I get there. And then it is, if you really like it and you wanna hang out, then all you gotta do is show up and let's hang out. And let's have realistic expectations. And let's live the dream. Because if you're not living the dream, you're doing it wrong. And you know how I know that's the truth? It's because lately, I was doing it wrong. I was believing words that people were giving me in fairly believable statements, and then I was watching their behavior and the two didn't mesh. Now this may sound a little harsh, but for me, when I see someone's speech not match their behavior, or I see their behavior not matching their speech, they're not walking the talk, well, unfortunately, my definition of that kind of behavior is, I refer to it as having a lack of integrity. And I try and hold myself to the same standard, which is like, honey, I'm gonna go to the store. I actually go to the store and then I come back from the store. And there are people that have been telling me lately that they're gonna go to the store. And then my part in it is that I'm not like, oh, when are you gonna go? When are you gonna get back? I'm just like, okay, you're an adult. I trust that you will go to the store. And a week goes by and I am like, so how's about that store? Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to that. Okay, but I just haven't had time. I'm like, well, no, you haven't made time. And you made a commitment prior and you're not doing it now. And then 2 weeks go by and there's still no store. And I'm smiling about this because it's like, this is a really great learning. And part of this is me, I was gonna say clarifying, but that's not arguably the way that I talk anyway. It's not real clear. But let's say for the sake of argument, I'm summarizing what I believe thus far. We all have values and beliefs. And if I believe I can lift 5,000 pounds, even if I can't do it, then I believe I can lift 5,000 pounds. But my values tell me that if I'm gonna tell you that I can lift 5,000 pounds, I should probably try to do it, because therefore my speech then matches my actions. And I believe that that means I act to the best of my ability with integrity, while at the same time always learning along the way. And how do you learn? Usually you make mistakes. Usually I make mistakes. And my other definition of, I have many of things, but my definition of maturity is that I'm able to learn from other people's mistakes. So I'm gonna throw this out there that I'm maturing, but I'm not mature, because I can tell you right now that I still learn a great deal from making my own mistakes. And sometimes the only way I can learn is by making my own mistakes. So with that little pit stop here at this rest stop here, which is just so cool, and I don't know if you can hear the sound up there, but there's a woman sweeping, so it's absolutely open. And so with that, it's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com saying I hope you're living the dream, because if you're not living the dream, I would submit to you, you're definitely doing it wrong, and you may have unrealistic EXPATations, because this video is basically discussing being an expat, specifically in Thailand. And my EXPATations have caused me a little bit of disappointment lately. But the good news there is that it's fueled me to be like, you know what, I need some alone time. I need to find Only Child Beach. I reached out to somebody that told me they had that, and they provided me with a solution, and I'm on the way to that solution. And I would submit to you, based on the fact that I label this person as having integrity, that when I get there, his Only Child Beach, the way that he describes it, is going to be absolutely acceptable. So I think I have a realistic expectation of that, because my friend, he's also an expat. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao.